Hey, I'm back. Milton's, Milton Diamond's paper in Hormones of Behavior. On page 626, I'll continue. So in 2004, Zucker, he had an interesting, he was studying GID in children. I'll just read the whole thing. In considering organization activation, he had this to say: although there is no known prenatal hormonal anomaly that is associated with GID, gender identity disorder, it is possible that less pronounced variations in the prenatal hormonal milieu that do not affect genital differentiation but do account in part for intersex differences in the expression of sex dimorphic behavior play a role. That's quite a mouthful. So, what he's saying is that, it can't point to anything for gender identity disorder, but we do know that there's these differences in expression of sex dimorphic behavior. So that's not controversial anymore. That certain behaviors are imprinted somehow biologically, or on the basis of biology, whatever. But there's not actually something for GID. But so he's kind of postulating, it sounds like, that having an affinity for a certain gender behavior might lead you to establish that gender identity later in life, which sounds, that's pretty much what I'm thinking right now. And one thing he's talking about is this gender behavior. I find this an interesting idea of what kind of behavior might be biologically imprinted. For example, an avoidance of rough and tumble play and a low activity level in boys probably are determined in part by biological factors. So, this was like an aha, because that's me. I hated rough and tumble play. I cried. I was always last on the soccer team or the football team, whatever, because I was afraid of the ball. I didn't want to get hit. I didn't want to get kicked in the shins. I didn't like that stuff. That made me unhappy. And I never for a second thought, oh, that might be a biological thing, that the androgens, the masculinization of my fetus just didn't go all that far, and that these might be female typical behaviors which stayed in me, didn't get androgenized away like it did in so many other boys. And that just kind of feeds into this whole social thing of, if that is truly a biological thing, those of us who are born with these girly behaviors, that, we get excluded and picked on, we're kind of like the runt of the litter that the other puppies pick on and try to kill, basically. Okay, so that was Zucker. Now I'm going to go on to a noteworthy 2005 paper by Hines and colleagues, followed up their gender role studies of the previous year. Boys and girls from 3 to 10 years of age with congenital adrenal hyperplasia. So this is known as CAH. That's one of the intersex variations. And it's basically, from what I can tell, more testosterone, more androgens in the fetal development. So girls would be more androgenized than other girls with this condition, and boys get it too. They get more androgen as well. So back to it. Boys and girls from 3 to 10 years of age with CAH were assessed regarding their choice of toys when presented with a host of male and female typical samples. also assessed were their unaffected siblings. So that makes it interesting that you do have a control here. Girls with CAH displayed more male-typical toy choice than did their unaffected sisters, whereas boys with and without CAH did not differ. So boys getting a little more androgens, yeah, it didn't change how they behaved. But with the girls, the ones that had the extra androgens, they actually they had different toy choices. So there is somehow, whether it's a primary causation or kind of like a secondary, there is a biological imprinting going on with toy choices. By the way, I liked playing role play more than I liked playing soldier. I never really liked soldier or basketball. I actually at one point, I remember when I was 10, I got some little people from a girl, actually, the little peg people, but I just enjoyed like playing their social interactions in the bathtub. I remember, so maybe not dolls in the sense of I'm their mommy, but I was much more interested in the social interactions of my little doll people than I was in competitive sports. And again, I never really considered that might have a biological effect. I always figured I was different, but I figured it would be some psychological development, psychological personality structure, or I'm not sure. So this is, but it's very convincing to me. Let's fit one more in. Okay, data from, so in 2005, a follow-up study of intersex children, how they were managed in the Netherlands by Cohen Kettenis, concluded that, and I quote, prenatal brain exposure to androgens plays some part in the development of gender role behavior. Okay? But, and this is very important, but the current evidence is not in line with the idea of determination of gender identity through prenatal sex steroid exposure. So, what he's saying is there's a biological component to gender role behavior. Again, we're talking about this rough and tumble play, standing all urinating, choice of soldiers and guns. But there's not a direct link with gender identity, which is what Serrano is hoping will be proven. That's her subconscious sex that she's talking about. There is no indication for subconscious sex right now, just for behaviors, and it's through probably social mediation that we come with a gender identity. So gender identity is not a biological complex. I'm going to stop it there, and I'll be back with part 3 soon.